The only thing more ridiculous than my outfit is the price of beef jerky. So, tonight I am going to teach you how to make it at home by yourself for a fraction of the cost, and it's going to taste way better. We're going to use whatever cheap-ass cut of meat you can find, and then I'm going to show you how to make a simple marinade for it. Everything else you can pretty much wing according to your tastes. So, let's go ahead and get started. So let's go over the ingredients that we're going to be using tonight. First, soy sauce, Worcestershire, or Worcestershire, or Worcestershire, apple cider vinegar, garlic powder, cayenne, paprika, pepper, brown sugar, and some ancho chili peppers. And today we're using a London broil steak because that is what was on sale. So first, let's talk about the meat. Beef jerky is best with the crappiest, cheapest cut of meat you can typically find, okay? What we're looking for is a really tough cut of meat that really can't be prepared any other way, and something that's very low on fat. What we're gonna do here is we're going to inspect it, right? These are the grains of the meat. It's the direction in which the muscle fibers go. With beef jerky, what we're gonna want is to cut against these grains, not in line with them. That's gonna be really tough. This is an awful cut of meat, so we want to try to give it as much of a head start as we can. So by cutting against it, the meat is going to be more flexible and tender, and it's gonna break into your mouth easier and break apart. So, first things first, we're gonna take this and we're gonna inspect it for any other fatty areas. Here, over here, we got a lot of fat. We don't want fat. Nobody really enjoys fat in their beef jerky. So we're gonna take a very sharp knife that we've sharpened, and we're gonna go ahead and start cleaning it with gentle little strokes here. All right, now that we've trimmed most of the fat off our meat, a little bit's okay. We just wanna get the bulk of it off. How long do we want our strips of beef jerky to be? I have no interest in a 12-inch strip of beef jerky. Some of you might, by all means, start cutting away. But for this particular piece of meat, since the grains are going this direction, I am going to slice this in half. Like so. And now I'm going to start cutting this direction from the meat. We also don't want to just cut straight down. We want to cut at roughly a 45-degree angle. And we want this to be relatively slim. We're going through going for maybe a 1/4 inch of a thickness here. I don't know, somewhere in this department. What is most important though is that the cuts are relatively uniform, because that's gonna mean that everything's going to dehydrate at the same rate. If you have one cut that's extremely thick versus some other cuts that are really thin, you're gonna have to open your oven and pull each piece out as it finishes, and that's just kind of annoying. The idea with this recipe is for it to be a set it and forget it sort of deal. So we're just gonna go ahead and keep cutting at this 45-degree angle. If they're not perfect, it's okay. They're gonna get all dried and shriveled up anyway. So one thing I wanna talk about is, well, two things actually, is the importance of a sharp knife for this process. The majority of kitchen injuries actually happen because of dull knives, not sharp ones, and the amount of unnecessary pressure that you have to put on the knife. So having a sharp knife, really for carving any meat like this, is gonna make your life not only a lot easier, but it's gonna make your cuts really pretty. If you have like a honing cylinder or a honing blade, by all means use that. But if you don't and you're not familiar with how to sharpen a knife, go to Publix. You can buy a pretty generic knife sharpener for $4 or $5, or at a Bed Bath & Beyond. Usually they'll have a ceramic side and a coarse side, and you just run your knife through it a couple of times. It's just a really good practice. I sharpen my knives about twice a week, especially before I start cutting, something like a meat here like this. Also, you want to try to use as few passes with your blade as possible to try to keep it nice and smooth. If you just start hacking at it and sawing at it, your knife's gonna get all these, your meat's gonna get all these weird little serrations on it, and it's just not as appealing. We're not making sushi here by any stretch, but still, it's nice to put a little effort into what you're making. Soy sauce. We're gonna do a half a cup of this stuff, and this is gonna add all the salty deliciousness. Beef jerky really works well with a marinade of soy sauce. Like, if you're marinating beef in soy sauce, like in any capacity, it's just gonna turn out great. So this is gonna be the backbone of our marinade. Next, after our soy sauce, we're gonna do some Worcestershire. I'm gonna go ahead and throw a 1/4 cup of Worcestershire in here now. About half as much Worcestershire as soy sauce. And we're gonna pour that in. Now, what I like to do is a little apple cider vinegar. This is gonna also help break down the meat and make it a little tender as well. Worcestershire does have some vinegar in it, but I really like the taste of apple cider. And we're gonna drop that in. Okie dokes. So we're gonna seal this bad boy up. Pull the air out. Shake it up. And then we're gonna put this in the fridge for 24 hours. We're gonna take this out every 2 hours and or every time you think about it. Pull it out of the fridge and just kind of shake it up again, you know, pound it. We wanna soften the muscle tissue here. So keep it moving. Don't be afraid to let it fall. Do be afraid for your bag breaking. But we're gonna let this sit and we'll see you tomorrow. All right, so now that it's been 24 hours, or in my case, 48 hours because I forgot about it, we're gonna take our beef jerky out of the fridge. So now's the point where if you want, you can either throw it straight in your dehydrator or you can throw it in the oven if that's what you're using. I'll be using a dehydrator for this video. I'm going to take my beef jerky and I'm going to lay it out. At this point, if you want to add some toppings to your beef jerky, now's going to be a great time. So obviously the cutting board was not even close to big enough, and I'm really cutting it pretty close to this parchment paper too. But anyway, we're just going to lay the meat out and then we're going to sprinkle it with whatever we want. You want wasabi powder, that's gonna be pretty good. Sesame seeds, like I said. I like tahini though. A little chili lime zest, it's just friggin' delicious. So now you're gonna lay your jerky out on your drying racks. Give it a little room to breathe, leave a couple inches. You don't want them stacked on top of each other. Then you're gonna go ahead and slide him in the drawer. We've got 3 racks today of jerky goodness. Put the lid on it. Set your temperature to the meat fish setting, 155, and we're gonna let this sit for 4 hours. Every hour we're gonna check it and rotate the racks 180 degrees. If you don't have a dehydrator and you need to cook your beef jerky in the oven, you're gonna set the temperature to 175. Then you're going to lay the beef jerky on top of a cooling rack, and you're gonna put that cooling rack on top of a baking sheet, and you're gonna put it in the oven. I don't have a cooling rack, otherwise I would show you. Then what you're gonna do is you're just gonna let it bake. Make sure the temperature stays around 175. And then, you're gonna wanna get some of the moisture out of your oven. So about every 30 minutes, go ahead and pop it open and just rotate the tray. And then when it's done, it'll look like beef jerky. All right, so I just flipped these. They're still pretty soft. We're about 2 hours in, and they need some more time. All right, and once your beef jerky reaches your desired level of jerkiness, you're good to take it out. Anytime after 3 hours, it's gonna be safe to eat. If you like it a little chewier, just check on it every hour or half hour or something like that. And there you have it. Thanks for watching.